going, man? First of all, my apologies for being late. My band's out of commission. And to help me feel a little bit dependent, I'm now in this wheelchair, and since I'm paralyzed from the chest down, it's really hard for me to get around. Which is all due to the fact, for me ending up in this position, is all because I like to have a good time. You see, it looks like an education field here. It looks like many people want to learn about what they can do, how to prevent this happening to their peers, friends, family, girlfriends, boyfriends. And it's very hard to prevent because it happens every day. And the reason that it happens, that's a tough one. Because I've been researching for the past 5 years since I've been sitting in this wheelchair. That's right, I've been sitting in a sitting down position for 5 years. All right, guys, I need everything perfect with everything.
Bring it up, Jeff. 1, 2.
All right. For 5 years, that is you got train of thought, so was good. Let's put it this way. Let's start from the beginning. What do you say? All right. Check this out, man. In the beginning, I was so cool. Can't hold the mic, get it away from me. See, I was so cool in the beginning.
All right, take a seat, man. These guys are postponing me here. In the beginning. Ah, jeez. All right. I enjoy getting high, okay? I've had my experiences with alcohol. You remember, like, when you used to go to parties with your parents, and they were drinking, and there was a bunch of drinking going on around here, and you were like maybe 10, 11, maybe even 9, and you always wondered what your parents were drinking, so right away you always snuck a drink, you know? And you made all these weird faces, but then you snuck another drink. That's the way it started for me. Very simple, very easy, you know, I didn't become an addict overnight. And that's the way it started. But it really started in high school. See, I used to be somewhat like a wimp or a nerd in high school, especially in my freshman year. Because see, in my freshman year, I went in, it was a freshman year, and rumors were that the seniors were going to take freshmen and initiate them. And they were going to take their heads and stick them in the toilet bowl. So it was the first week of my freshman year, and I'm going into the bathroom to mind my own business and to take a leak. So I'm taking a leak, and there's about 5 or 6 seniors hanging out, smoking a cigarette, smoking a bone, doing a joint. And I was scared, because I was looking straight ahead, trying to hurry up, taking my leak, and get out. But no. One of them knew who I was, and they said, "Hey, aren't you so-and-so's brother?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they asked me how my brother was doing and stuff like that. I said, "He's all right, So I pulled up my fly, and I was trying to walk very casually outside. And they were like, "Hey, come here, hang out, And I was like, nah, I don't think so. Gotta get back to class, the bell rung, can't you hear it? Don't worry about the bell. So I hung out with him. And to make a long story short, I didn't smoke a joint that day, but I did smoke a Marlboro cigarette. And when I went back to class, I was stoned off a Marlboro cigarette. Because it's really when I first started smoking cigarettes, too. It was in my freshman year. And I thought it was really neat because, see, smoking this cigarette, smoking this joint, enabled me to hang out with the seniors. And I was very few of the freshmen that were hanging out with seniors. Anyway, that's the way the pot started. So in my sophomore year, it was just the same thing. See, in my freshman year, I used to get it for free. Because I used to walk into the bathroom, and they said, "Why, you smoke pot?" I said, "Yeah." "Why, sure, here, take one for the road. Here, take an extra hit." You know? And they gave it to me for free. So I thought it was great. Some water if anybody has it. Anyway, I thought it was great. And I continued in my sophomore year. And I continued in my junior year. And I had to start paying for it. So I started paying for it. And I started paying for it. And I started paying for it. Cash-wise. In my junior year, I was really growing up because, you see, I was working at McDonald's now. And I was making my own living now. You know? And at McDonald's, I used to go to work stoned. And I used to think it was so great to go to work stoned because at McDonald's, they had all the munchies. So I thought it was great working at McDonald's. So I ate. And I would work in front of the grill. And sometimes these hamburgers would miss the grill and fall on the floor. And since I was stoned and I didn't know what I was doing, I picked them up off the floor and put them back on the grill. And then I would watch people eat the food. Anyway, I got fired from McDonald's because of coming to work high and because of dropping food on the floor. I got a job as a carpenter's apprentice in the summer of my junior year. And so many people here. So many people here. I'm never this nervous. And I got my job as a carpenter's apprentice. And it was excellent because I was making $300 a week. You see, and at 17 years old, I thought it was great. So the first thing I did, the first check that I got, was for $300, and I took it home to my father, and I waved it all over my father's face. And I said, "Check it out, Dad. I make more than you." You know? So my father thought it was great, you know. He was proud of his son making $300 a week, only 17 years old. I mean, he thought that his son really had an opportunity with a trade here. So he gave me an offer. He told me that if I would save up 4 of these checks, that I could put a down payment on a new car or anything I wanted, and he would co-sign another loan, you know, a loan for me. And I said, this is great, you know. So meanwhile, I was going to work, and all my friends were buying all these weird cars, you know, like Mazdas and Volkswagens, you know. These antiques, you know, that ran for about 3 or 4 months. And then they junked them, you know. And I thought that was pretty neat because they partied in these cars, you know, and they didn't take care of these cars or anything. Again, I fell into peer pressure, so what did I end up doing? I went out, and I took my $300 out of the bank, and I bought me a 1972 Ford Maverick. This is one of the ugliest cars Ford has ever made. 2 things was wrong with this car when it started. First of all, it was yellow. Oh, you're beautiful. Thank you. All that just for that. Anyway, where was I? Ah, the car was ugly and yellow. So anyway, two things wrong with this car is that it was yellow and didn't start. The good thing was that I bought it for $300, so I got it towed to my house. And when my parents found out that I took the $300 out of the bank to buy this thing that was coming on the back of a tow truck, I think they lost their pride in their son. But anyway, I got it put to the back of the house, and I had some friends take a look at it. And they started throwing coins at it. After a while, I had a good friend take a really good look at it, and he started working on it like crazy. You see, the reason that didn't start is because the engine was no good, so we had to take out the engine and throw it away. But we ended up putting a 302 V8 in it. We didn't like the noise that was coming out of the engine, so we put some cherry bombs underneath so it would give it a nice, cool sound. We took out the tires and the rims because they were just not good at all. So we added on some M50 mags and some Kragers. I went down to Crazy Eddie's and I bought me a $400 Pioneer system with an equalizer in it. And that was something else. Since I'm Puerto Rican, you know, I had the little doggy in the back window that went like this. And that was all right, you know, because that made me look cool, you know. So I partied in my car all summer long after I spent $5,000 on it. The $5,000 that my father wanted me to purchase a new car, make these loan payments, and have a new car of the year, I didn't think because I was too busy getting high. Anyway, summer came to an end, and it's time to go back into my senior year. And you know, I was those kind of guys that just passed on the skin of their teeth. So if there's any teachers here today, there's a lot of work that you need to do also. Since I know there's students here today, there's a lot of work that you need to do also. We're always getting picked on about our grades, and we have to achieve, and we have to achieve, and we have to achieve. As for me, I never thought that I could achieve, so I turned to drugs. But then again, there's those students that don't take drugs and have to achieve and have to achieve, so they start doing drugs in college. You see, getting back to my story, I go into my senior year, and the sad thing is I only enjoy a week of it. You see, it was Friday night, September 17th. I've been going out with this girl, Debbie, for over about a year now. She was a year older than me because I picked this girl, or she picked me, because it was totally, you know, I liked her body, she liked my body. You know, so we went out. And so we went out. But Debbie's thing wasn't getting high. You know, Debbie was that kind of girl that got off on cleaning the house. I said, Debbie, what are you going to do tonight? It's Friday night. Well, Hector, you should see what I got. I said, Debbie, what do you got? She goes, I'm going to clean the bathroom, and then the kitchen, and then the basement. If I have time, I'll even do the attic. So Debbie called me up Friday night, and she goes, Heck, let's go out to the movies. I don't have to clean house today. I said, that's great, Dad. Let's go out to the movies, let's go out to dinner. And I said, well, you see, I thought I would go out with my friends tonight. And, you know, it turned into one of those conversations where I wanted to go out with my friends, and Debbie wanted to go out with me, and I didn't want to go out with Debbie. You know, so you know how girls are. Fine. Want to go out with your friends instead of me? Fine. So it turned into one of those phone conversations that all we were doing was breathing on the phone. And we breathed on the phone like for about a good half hour. After we breathed on the phone, I said the only way out of it was just to hang up and leave. So that's what I did. Hung up the phone, ran upstairs, put on my Pierre Cardin, got into my car, and went out looking for a good time. As you can see, I found it. You can see it started off like this. I met the guys, drank a 6-pack of beer. The guys were very boring that night, so I went out cruising by myself. Met 2 girls. Got drunk with them. I knew I was drunk when I went to the bathroom because my aiming was off. Now I'm going to tell you something you might not like. You laugh because you can relate. Remember that. And remember when you see your friends in the same predicament, because you could be saving their life. Knock on the door in the bathroom. Hector, you still alive? So I had to stay in there an extra 20 minutes to clean up my mess. And I came back out and we smoked a joint. After we smoked a joint, we had the munchies, so we said, hey, let's go to a pizzeria. Pizzeria is only 5 minutes away. You see, the attitude of people, not only that drive drunk, but the attitude of people that get high and use drugs is a big denial. And the whole denial system works on, it will never happen to me. And denial system is really what kills. Okay, because that's what put me in this wheelchair. You see, I've driven many times before, drunk, high, on cocaine, even on mescaline. And nothing's ever happened to me. Nothing's ever happened to me. And so I partied this way and I drove this way. Just like a lot of many of us. See, when I was really young, they told me not to smoke cigarettes. And they told me not to do this and not to do that. But see, they weren't me. They weren't hanging out with my friends. And since I saw my friends didn't have heart disease or lung disease, I went on doing it. Because I thought people were just lying to me. And people didn't believe what I had to say. Or I didn't believe what they had to say. Anyway, guys, let's finally finish off this story. So I got in my car, put a beer between my legs. I put a girl in the passenger seat there, and another girl sat on the console in the middle. And we were driving. We were on a 2-lane highway. I was driving about 60 miles an hour. I lost control, I guess. I hit my first car. I hit my second car. And isn't it the truth when they say alcohol delays your reactions? Because only after I hit my second car did I finally put on the brakes. And then I skidded about 100 feet, and I hit a brick wall. And I stayed in my car till the ambulance came with this thing called the jaws of life. I had a dashboard on top of my legs, and I had a steering wheel next to my ribs. To continue to make a long story short, I was taken to Dover General Hospital. I woke up 3 days later, after the accident, after surgery, and I found myself staring at the floor. And I had needles in my arms, patches on my chest, tubes down my nose, tubes down my throat. And I guess what I hated the most were the 2 screws screwed into the side of my head. And I was turned every 2 hours. Just like you roast a pig. That's the way I lived for a week. So for 2 hours I stared at the floor, and for another 2 hours I stared at the sun. Finally they took me off this apparatus, put me on a regular hospital bed. I lay in the bed for about a month in the general hospital. doctor came in after a month, and he told me that there was nothing else he can do for me. You see, he really did quite a lot. I broke my neck in 2 places. He was able to give my full range of my neck back, and I'm still alive. He told me the bad news is there's nothing that he can do for me as far as my paralysis. So I went and spent 8 months in a rehabilitation center. You see, I open up my talk with humor because people just can't start hearing a pity trip or a sad story right away, because that turns them right off. So what I let you know, and what I let you know about me, is that I've learned to accept this thing that's happened to me. But I hope you're thinking, because that's all you can do. For every professional that's in here, educator that's in here, for every law authority that's in here, nobody can make nobody stop getting high. Only themselves. Only the people that get high can stop getting high. Too many times I have girlfriends coming up to me and say, how do I stop my boyfriend from stop getting high? Too many times I work in a detox and people feel that, why can't he just stop drinking? You see, in my freshman year, maybe I wasn't an addict, but it grew into a disease. Even after I hit 2 cars in a brick wall, even after I spent 8 months in a rehabilitation center, I started getting high again. See, for people that don't understand, they would say, how could you, man? How could you start getting high after you put yourself in a wheelchair? Denial comes very strong. And if you don't face that you're denying your problems, you will keep your problems. And if you keep asking yourself, why don't things get better? Why don't things get better? Very simply, you're just not facing what you're denying. Do you understand? Because I can only come here, and I can only share with you my experience. Bringing it down to a close, I used to get high with 10 good friends in high school. And I've done my own research for the 5 years that I've been sitting in this wheelchair. And I've done it the hard way, of course. And many of yous and your friends out there, and the people that are watching, are doing their own research the hard way. You see, and the 10 friends I hung out with, 3 of them are dead today. 2 because of auto accidents, of under the influence, and 1 because of suicide. Because he was involved in one of the accidents and he couldn't deal with it, so he killed himself. The other 7, they've been in jail, institutions, for drugs and alcohol, like myself. Does it get better? Only if you want it to. Even if you sit in a wheelchair, it still gets better. The rest of my friends, or should I say acquaintances, still using. They knew my other 3 friends, and they knew that they died because of alcohol related, but they're still using. They knew other friends that are in jails now because they got busted, but they're still using. They've known of my alcohol and drug program that I go to, that I need to go to, because I have this thing called the disease. And so, they still get high. If there's anything that I want to leave as a last message, and I hope I haven't bored too many of you, is to make your own choice. I can't make the choice for you. Your educators can't make the choice for you. We can show you the way. Like I always said, an officer of the law can always show you the way to jail if he catches you. But it's not because he's a bad police officer. It's not because the cop stinks and because cops suck. It's because you made that choice. And you don't like that idea, that it's your fault. Hope to be spending a good day with these guys. Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
Oh, this is Nadine.
Okay. Thank you. Hector. Next, we're going to have a break time. We have 10